Today's video is about natural resources. I'm going to go over some terms and give you some examples for things that you might need during our unit. I'm going to review the three types, I'm going to give you some terms and definitions, and then I'll talk about some examples. First, for terms. There are three types of resources: renewable resources, non-renewable resources, and flow. The bare bones definition is renewable resources are those that can be renewed, so either through seeding themselves or reproduction in animals. They naturally replace themselves, or they can be replaced by humans, where humans would plant forests after they'd cut a forest down. Non-renewable natural resources are those that once we've extracted them and used them, they're gone forever and can never be replaced. And flow resources, those are the resources that are on a sort of reoccurring pattern that happens naturally in our Earth's environment. Supply and demand. Supply is the amount or the quantity of something that is available, and the demand is the desire for that product. So it works really well if the supply and demand match, but if the supply for something is very low, so there's not a lot of that item or product or resource available, and the demand is high, there's an imbalance, and that is where things get complicated with resources. Raw materials and aggregate. So raw materials are those resources at their most natural state. It's how they appear in nature before they've been processed or refined in order to be used in sort of a product. An aggregate are a structural mineral like gravel and sand that are used in our roadways and our buildings and our asphalt. Minerals. Minerals naturally occur in our Earth's crust, so our lithosphere. And in order to use these minerals, we have to extract them, and they have to go through extensive processing in order to be used for our products. And they are non-renewable energy sources. Natural regeneration. This is where, in a renewable natural resource, where the renewing process happens naturally. So trees seeding themselves, plants seeding themselves, animals reproducing to replace the livestock. Pulp and paper. This is where they take trees, normally small branches or smaller trees, and they break that down and they turn that resource into paper. This is one of Canada's largest industries, and it was one of the very first industries in Canada. Surplus and deficit. So surplus is you have more of something that you need, and a deficit is you have less of something that you need. So if we think about this on the natural resources, if we think about water, Canada has a surplus of water. We have far more water than we need to satisfy our basic needs, where countries like Africa have a deficit of water, where they require more water than they actually have. So non-renewable resources. Mining. These are these resources that are in the Earth's surface. We have to go into the Earth's surface and extract these minerals and these natural resources. Mining can take one of two shapes. One, it's a mine where there's a hole dug into the ground, and there's sort of a mine shaft. The other one is an open pit mine, which literally is a giant hole in the Earth's surface that is dug out, and it can take many, many years to do this, and the resource is then extracted.
Mrs. Fischetti, please call 400. Mrs. Fischetti, call 400.
In order to extract natural resources, there's several steps to the process. One, you have to locate it. It isn't like there's a giant sign in the street that says, look, there's a deposit of gold here. There's a huge process that goes through finding where these natural resource deposits are, and oftentimes they're not in the easiest places to extract from. And oftentimes they're very deep within the surface. It's not like you and I could go out with a shovel and dig them up. It takes huge machines and trucks going layer after layer after layer into the Earth's surface to pull these materials out. The extraction process. These resources have been a part of our Earth's surface for thousands, millions of years. So they're very adhered to the materials that are around them, the rocks and the other sand and other material that's around them. So the extraction of just getting them out is very difficult and dangerous and uses up a lot of other resources. Processing. When we extract the materials, they're in their raw state. This is, how they remain, how they naturally occurred on the earth. They go through several steps of processing to get them down into the metals and materials that we recognize that are put into our products. There's a huge environmental impact in extracting and using non-renewable resources. The mines, you are permanently damaging and affecting the Earth's surface. Open pit mines, yes, you can fill in the hole, and yes, you can replant, but the Earth's surface and the makeup of the soil and the nutrients and the things that were in that area of the ground, they're forever altered, and they can never go back to the way they were. And once those resources have been removed, they're gone forever. Renewable natural resources. Animals, plants, forests, and we'll get into logging. So, animals. These were our original resources. If we think back to traditional times, cavemen and things, they would use animals, and they got all of their basic needs met from animals. Their clothing, their food, medicines, weapons, tools, because they used all parts of the animal. Now, with processing and added technology, we're able to do different things with animals and use their bodies and their skin and things in different ways. And they are renewable because you can have a livestock that reproduces, so you can have sort of a crop of this resource every single year. Plants. Plants are more than just food. They've become our fabrics. We use them for healing. We use them for pleasure. We use them for ceremonies. They're a lot more than just things that we eat. And forest kind of falls into plants. We use this for building. This is for our structures, our furniture, things that we use every day. Which goes to logging. Logging is the extraction process of the natural resource of forests, where you go in and you cut down a forest and you transport those logs to mills and you cut them into boards, or you divide them up into pulp to make paper, and then they are transported to other places to make furniture and materials and building stuff. And this was one of our primary industries in Canada when colonization happened. Along with the fur trade, there was forestry. And finally, the flow resources: sun, wind, and water. Sun, solar energy. We get so the sun lets off solar energy and it comes towards the earth. We only get a certain portion of it on earth, and we're starting to learn how to harness that energy because, like I said, it is a naturally reoccurring resource. And if we can harness that, we can start to use that in replacement of other non-renewable resources. Same with wind. Wind systems occur on a regular, natural basis. And if we can find a way to harness that power, it will then become another resource that replaces a non-renewable resource. And same with water. And I talked a little bit about surplus and deficit between Canada and other countries in the world. So there's some terms and things for natural resources.